It's the beginning of October, and my husband loves everything pumpkin, as does most of America. And so today I'm going to show you how I make pumpkin roll. Now, I've only made it a couple times with my very good friend Billy, but and his recipe that I'm going to use today is top secret. So I'm only going to show you the technique. But the important thing to know is how to do it. You can get a lot of different recipes out there, but it's the actual baking of the roll, letting it cool, rolling it up technique that makes a difference between a roll that's not good and a roll that's great. So the first tip that Billy gave me was the recipe that he uses one of those big cans of pumpkin, and in order to not have any waste, that one big can makes 4 pumpkin rolls using the proportions on the recipe that he has. And so he just makes 4 pumpkin rolls, so he doesn't want to waste any of that pumpkin. And what he does is he measures it out. So I have one that I've already put in my KitchenAid and mixed up. So there's the ingredients for one in there. And then I have the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients for the other 3 that I'm going to make. And I measure them out all ahead of time and get everything ready, because then it's the whole process. You want to take put the pans in and take them out of the oven one right after the other if you're making multiple rolls, just to save time. Okay, so I've mixed my dough up according to my recipe, and I'm going to show you how I spread it. So over here I have 2 prepared pans, and Billy always uses wax paper, so that's what I'm doing. You can see this is a very runny roll. Or very runny dough. I'm gonna pour in my pumpkin mixture, and then I'm gonna spread it out on the cookie sheet that's prepared with wax paper. But before I do the spreading, I'm gonna start mixing the other one up, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is once you have everything pre-measured. Okay, so that's pretty good. We're going to come back and spread that out while this other one is mixing. I'm going to dump in my dry ingredients, my wet ingredients. I need to get a spoon for that little bit. With the KitchenAid, it's very quick. My dough's back in the KitchenAid mixer, mixing away, and I'm going to spread this very thin dough. And it's important to spread it evenly. It actually takes quite a bit of time to spread it evenly, but you need an even roll so that there's no breakthrough whenever you actually roll it. And it takes quite a bit of time. It's not a quick thing. I baked the batter, and it looks really good. I took it out of the oven. It's been sitting here for about 5 minutes in the pan. I'm going to slide it out of the pan carefully. I'm going to peel the edges away very carefully, as best as I can. You can see it does crack a little bit. You just have to do your best. It smells just delicious, though, I'm going to tell you that. Going to dust the whole thing with powdered sugar, and I'm going to roll it back up until it's completely cooled. So when I say dust, I mean I'm going to liberally sprinkle it here with powdered sugar. It looks like a lot because it is a lot, but you don't want any sticking at all. Okay, looks good to me. Now I'm going to just roll from the short end here. I'm going to try to just roll it without cracking. And I'm going to just put off to the side here until it's completely cooled. I'm going to do the same thing for my second one. Well, the pumpkin roll is cool enough that it's time to put the filling in. So I'm going to carefully unroll it. You can see here that that powdered sugar melted as it was cooling down. And it's still a little bit warm in here, but it's not so warm that it's going to make the icing melt too much. So I mixed up the icing while everything was baking and cooling. And my batch, I only use half of it for one. And we'll see what that looks like when we spread it out. I'm going to use a knife and spread it. Now I'm going to roll from this end towards me. So I'm not going to put as much down here. I'm also not going to go the whole way to the end because I like to cut the ends off because they're uneven. So I actually made a little less filling than I normally do because I think sometimes there's too much or there's a lot left over, and so I'm going with a lighter filling this time. And really you just spread it around. It just takes time and a light touch. You want to make sure that you get it evenly on there. I'm also not going to go very thick at the end over here either, because as you roll it, it sort of gets smushed to the other end. But you'll see what I mean. Okay, looks pretty good. I'm going to take a little bit more from over here. Okay. Now before I start to roll, I'm going to get everything ready that I'm going to need after I roll, which is another piece of wax paper and a piece of aluminum foil. And then I'm going to carefully roll this towards me, and as I roll it, I'm going to peel off that wax paper. Now this is that technique that I was telling you about. It's very important. You just roll very carefully. You can see that that icing is smushing out. That's why you didn't want to put a lot down here. I have a little crack here, that's okay. It's not going to ruin anything. So now that I've gotten to the end, I'm going to take a knife and you can see that it's not very pretty over here, so I'm going to slice off the edges. Now don't throw these away because these are really good ones to taste, to make sure everything tastes good. And then take your roll, carefully put it on your waxed paper, and roll it up. And then roll it again in your aluminum foil. And it's ready for the refrigerator. Now you must refrigerate your pumpkin rolls because they have cream cheese in them. So also they're very good and they're easier to slice after they've been refrigerated. So I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of these, and then I have 4 beautiful pumpkin rolls to eat over the season. These keep very, very good in the freezer. If you're going to put it in the freezer, make sure you put it in a plastic Ziploc bag. Here's the finished product. This is what the pumpkin roll looks like when it's done. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you'd like to see more things that I cook and the techniques that I use to cook them, please comment and subscribe. Thanks a lot.